The time my entitled grandma got laughed out of the lawyer's office. So this happened about 10 years ago. I was 25 at the time, and this will be pretty short, but it still makes me laugh. This is my grandma, my dad's mom, and we never really had a good relationship. I disliked her for various reasons, but as a kid, I'd have to see her during holidays or when my parents wanted a break. It wasn't that bad until I got older and saw how controlling she could be. After I left home for college, I barely spoke to her, and I've only seen her twice. After a few years, my wife and I got married and we had 2 kids, and my dad called me up. You're gonna love this. Grandma went to a lawyer to try to sue for grandparents' rights. This put me on edge immediately because I assumed she tried putting them against my kids. Grandparent rights really aren't a thing here, but I know what they are. The basics of it is that my grandma went to a lawyer and told him she wanted to sue for grandparent rights to be able to see me. The lawyer asked if we have any sort of relationship, and she says that she's known me all my life and I used to visit regularly, even though it wasn't. The lawyer asked how old I am, and she answered 24, and he started laughing his ass off and tells her that I'm an adult, and she replies, well, how do I force him to visit me? And he says, you don't. He's an adult and he gets to make his own choices. My grandma stormed out of there and didn't speak of it to anyone until she told my dad later, and he started laughing at her too. I can't imagine, like, someone being an adult, right, and still thinking that they can force you to visit them, but on top of that, being like, I need to sue to see my grandson, he hasn't visited me in years. Clearly, something's wrong if the guilt trip approach isn't working. You know, grandma guilt is overpowered. If he's not feeling grandma guilt, then that's more on you for not making it be effective. I don't think a lawyer's going to be able to do anything about it, dude. Could you imagine your front door gets kicked down, the cops are like, you need to see your grandmother now, otherwise, prison for life. I'm getting quiet now. Lay low when you reach zone 5 now. Make it out, stack the... What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the subreddit Entitled Parents, which is one of my favorite subreddits. You guys tend to really enjoy them and they do well, so why not wombo combo, make everybody happy here. Before we get into it though, be sure to press the like button, otherwise no joke, no scam, your parents are going to become entitled, and let's go. My future in-laws invited my estranged father to my wedding. I was informed by my future in-laws that they spoke with my father and he's coming to my wedding. Anyways, I'm 26 and my entire life I had only met my father once at a funeral and he still didn't want anything to do with me. He actively denied that I was his child for the first 10 years of my life until my mom wrangled him into court and ordered him to take a paternity test. And since then, I've had zero contact with them. My future in-laws were old friends with him and decided to invite him even though they know everything about the situation. And when I asked why he'd be coming, I was told, he's your dad, of course he's coming. I'm floored. I actively said that I didn't want him around. He's literally a meth head who abandoned me in the womb. Why would I want him considering what would be a special day for me? And my son's going to be there. I'm considering just eloping just to not invite any of these people. I feel like your in-laws definitely aren't big on the whole respecting you thing. If you're like, hey, I really don't want my dad there, and then they just still went and did it. I could see maybe they didn't realize the situation was this bad and they just made a giant mistake, but the fact that you've told them everything about how he abandoned you and they were like, man, you're just being dramatic, he'll get over it. I don't know, man, you might have a monster-in-law instead of a mother-in-law, you feel me? Obviously, she's just being ridiculous. What is it? Her wedding? She's supposed to be in charge of the guest list? Yeah, that's kind of how it works. Yeah, yeah, basically, yeah. Well, then you guys can help with the kids. My friend is a stay-at-home parent, and she's always moaning about how hard her life is taking care of the 2 girls. She and her husband fight constantly, bickering about who does what, and she always seems like she's seeming like the most overworked, undervalued person ever. Her husband runs a successful business, and the guy works non-stop, always hustling, and he's not a lazy slacker. They asked us to go on holiday with them, meaning that we'd pay our own way but go as a group. We were keen but decided to cancel last week because she insisted that we need to help look after her kids because she needs a break as a stay-at-home parent who works nonstop and never gets downtime. When did being a parent become a chore, like cleaning a house? Mind you, I'm a full-time working mother myself with a demanding job in tech. The level of entitlement from this woman blew my mind. Nonetheless, we made up an excuse and planned our annual holiday without them. I'm not gonna sit here and say having kids isn't exhausting because, like, I don't have them and I'm gonna assume it is. That being said, though, it is kind of nuts to invite somebody else who also has kids on your vacation and then just be like, you'll babysit my kids, right? Regardless of how exhausted you are, they would be equally exhausted because they're also parents. What are you talking about? No, you need to help me babysit my kids on our vacation. Well, that just sounds like a vacation for you and free babysitting for them. My friend's entitled mother demanded that I hand over my phone and card car keys. My friend who's 20 is currently in college. He used to live in a shared apartment and worked in a bookstore to meet his expenses. His parents have always been insanely controlling, and one of the rules they had was that he couldn't be out after 7 p.m. On this particular day at work, he had to attend some stock that had just came in, and that was keeping him late. So sometime after 7, his mom video calls him like usual, and he explains that he's out late, because she was asking him why. I remember feeling bad for him, but that wasn't the end of the story. 10 minutes later, his parents are actually at the store. His dad is talking to the store owner. He wasn't yelling or anything, just calmly explaining that it's dangerous for their child to be out after 7. At this point, I'm wondering whether something really bad had happened to my friend or someone close to them at some point that made his parents this overprotective. And then the mother turns and walks towards me and asks me what I'm doing there. And I calmly explain why, and she starts screaming about how she misjudged me and how I was leading their child down a bad path and how I should be ashamed of myself. I stood there in shock for a couple seconds before she started pulling my t-shirt and demanding that I give her my phone. I shouldn't be having one because I'm not a responsible adult and I will use my phone to lead people astray. She starts grabbing at my pockets, demanding my phone and car keys. She was finally pacified by the store owner and my friend, while his dad was telling me I should have handed it over because now he will do everything in his power to ruin my life. Words that came out of that woman's mouth while shouting at me were, "Where you cannot refuse that that's our phone. Everything you have belongs to your parents and they will give it to me." And there was also some insults about my mother's fidelity, which is a very huge insult in our culture, and the person who said it is usually met with a fist to the face. This dude is like somehow a werewolf that always turns into a wolf after 7 p.m. or something. Like, why are his parents freaking out so much about it, dude? I also love, she's like, "Hey, you give me your phone, all right? Okay, this is how this works out." Is this just all some ploy to get some free minutes off someone else's cell plan? Like, I'm just really not following here. One day your kid's gonna grow up and go outside after 7 p.m. and nothing's bad's gonna happen, and he's like, "My parents are full of it." Also, I love that this guy, like, you know, is just getting attacked in the middle of stocking the shelves. Do you think he got to go home, or do you think he had to finish after the attack? He's got, like, a black eye from where the mom was swinging her purse at him to try to get the phone. The boss is like, "Hey, man, listen, your other coworker went home, so you gotta finish doing all this, okay?" "No, thank you. I want to keep my dog." My parents were at work at the time and unable to assist, but it probably would have made it easier. Anyways, I was at this dog park, letting my doggo run around and scrolling through Reddit, looking up every few seconds to make sure she was safe. All of a sudden, I looked up and there's a kid petting my dog. I ignored it as I'm fine with people petting her, but I walk over and there's a notebook in hand to tell the kid to ask people before petting dogs. The entitled mom comes up to me and starts talking to me. I'm deaf, so I flip to a page that says I'm deaf, but before I can get there, she snatches the notebook out of my hand and tries talking to me. The kid tried to hide and failed. I pulled out my best dictation app and figure out the mom wants my dog. I type no and show it to her quickly before putting it back in the protection of my pocket. She then starts screaming at me like I could understand. And I once again pull out my dictation app, and she says that her son should have the dog because a deaf person can't take care of a dog? What? She then picked up my dog and started walking away. I go after her trying to get my poor dog away from her. Important note, my phone number is on the back of her dog tag. I run up to a person going around the park and inform them my dog is being taken. He goes up to the lady and holds my dog. I again take out my dictation app and he asks me if I have any way to prove it's mine, and I ask him to call the number on the back. Suddenly on the screen, I see that the entitled kid is saying, "Mom, stop lying, give him the dog back." The park ranger has his phone out and calls the number, and believe it or not, my phone rang. The ranger said I could go, and he did talk to the mom and the kid, and then I went home, fed my cat, and gave my dog treats. Where did this lady hear that deaf people can't own a dog, bro? Like, I've never heard that in my entire life, because what does hearing have to do with being able to take care of an animal in any way, shape, or form at all? You could probably take care of a dog if you were blind, too. Like, what do you mean? Why could, what? I just don't understand the logic there. Well, you can't hear, so dogs are hard to take care of. Like, on what planet are you actually living on? Even ballsier to try to take someone's dog, dude. I mean, I know a dog is an animal at the end of the day, but it is like a member of the family. In my opinion, I'd probably react the same way as someone like trying to take something that was very valuable to me. It's not like you're just taking a cell phone or something. You're taking somebody's living, breathing pet. I'm 15 and working, and I want to know how much money there is in my bank account, but my mom won't allow me to know the password to my bank app login. So I'm 15 and I've been working at a store since recently, and whenever I have to buy something, I have to go to the ATM machine just to see how much money I have left in my account. This is annoying because it consumes my time and all that. I asked my mom if I can get the login to the bank account, but she won't allow me to know the password while it's literally my money. She told me she would just say how much money I made, but I don't trust her because she always takes my money. Her Her reason is because I would buy things, but it's my money I'm meant to be paid with. I'm so annoyed. I'm almost 16 and she still pretends I'm a 5-year-old kid. Whenever I'm hungry, I have to ask if I can eat. And I consider this very abusive. I don't know what to do. How can I even log in if she won't let me know the password? See, I feel like the mom thinks she's doing something super helpful here, but all she's doing is making sure that the second this kid is 18, he's gonna run as far as humanly possible and like never come back. You know, if you're such a control freak, you won't even let your kid log into his bank account to see how much money he has because you're spending it, then chances are they're gonna want nothing to do with you. This is how you end up as the grandma in that first story trying to sue people to come visit. No one wants to spend time with you because you stole all the money from their first job, okay? That's what's going on. I've gone no contact with both of my parents. When I told my mom that on top of my dad stealing money from my debit card and getting food stamps in my name, there had also been utilities placed in my name and some cell phones, and most of them are delinquent, and that I had called the police and pressing charges against my dad, she hung up on me. She then called me back and sounded like she was emotional and said that since I didn't care what I'm doing to my family, I'm not a part of it, and she only has one daughter now. Then she and my aunt got into an argument, and she told my aunt she won't give me any of the information for my financial aid to go to college, and she said my dad agreed to mail my birth certificate and social security card to her house, but I can forget about that now, and she doesn't want anything to do with my aunt either. So even if she changes her mind, I think it's best for me to not have anything to do with her for a while, and obviously my dad, so no parents. And my credit is messed up, but I think I'm getting over COVID though. And I think I might go to Job Corps instead of college anyways because it's free and I can live on campus and they help you find a career in the field you study. So at least I have a backup plan. I want to start working when I test negative too, so I don't have to have my parents. And I miss my brother and sister, and I guess I've kind of lost them now too, but at least I have my aunt and my cousins and have a plan, so I hope I'll be okay. Alright, so this person rightfully got mad that their dad went out and pulled out a bunch of credit in their name and then never paid it, so their credit is shot. Thanks, Dad. Super sick birthday present. But the mom was mad at them for reporting it? What did you expect them to do, bro? I'm disowned because I'm angry that my dad stole money and ruined the credit. But I'm in trouble because, I don't know, somehow what I did to the family's messed up? What about the dad that ruined his kid's credit? You know, what about what he did to the family? I'm just saying, nothing would be worse than being a kid trying to figure stuff out in life, dude. Being a fresh adult's already hard enough. Next thing you know, your credit is shot, like, basically for the next 7 years because your dad just needed 50 cell phones for some reason. Entitled mom causes a scene because I wouldn't let her son watch a movie. I'm 21 and the story happened when I was 19. Basically, you pay for tickets and watched a movie based on the age rating, right? Well, this mom was living on a different planet. I work at a movie theater and we had some freakouts, but not for this particular reason. I was minding my business when all of a sudden I hear some weird yelling and I went to see what the fuss is about and I see a woman yelling at my coworker. What seems to be the problem, ma'am? Your coworker is refusing to let a son watch a movie. It might have been for good reason. He discriminated against my son for his age and didn't let him watch the movie. At this point, I was not going to do this, however, it's what I get paid for. So then I told her, how old is your son and at what movie does he want to watch? He wants to watch Birds of Prey and he's 13. Well, Birds of Prey is rated R and I can tell her that it's 18 or older only. She goes insane. You son of a... It's not fair to discriminate against someone for age. Well, it's not my fault. The movie is for people over 18. Let your son watch a PG-13 movie or something. Thankfully, the son was an understanding kid and he said, Mom, I understand. Let's just watch a different one. No, I'm not ruining my son's birthday. I'm never going to this theater again. I worked in a theater for a bit, dude, and I've gotten yelled at for the same thing, but it's like, lady, it's not like my choice, okay? Trust me, I've watched movies that were above PG-13 when I was younger too, but I can't sell this to you. Like, I could get in a lot of trouble. The business could get in trouble, you know? It's just like, I'm not getting yelled at by my manager so your kid can watch a movie. Trust me, I'm sure he wants to watch Birds of Prey. I don't even know what that movie is, but I'm sure he wants to watch it. Just like get it on Netflix or something, because I'm not getting yelled at and losing my job for you. My goblin cousin was trying to steal my stuff. Basically, it was my brother's birthday and I was excited to get to the resort my family was at and celebrate with them. As I'm packing my stuff to get there, my entitled cousin suddenly ran into my room and took my phone. Obviously, I went to get it from him, but he ran straight to his mom and said asked if he could have it. Obviously, there was no way I'd give my phone to him and I snatched it away and he cried. Loud, his mom came running into my room room screaming at me for not letting her child borrow my phone. My mom went upstairs to see what the fuss is about, and my mom and the entitled parent then proceeded to have an argument. My child should be able to borrow your son's phone. He has a computer, so why does he need that? Well, your child has a tablet, for God's sake, and you have a phone. Why don't you let your kid borrow your phone? My phone is for calls plus my job. Plus, I forgot his charger for the tablet. He was so excited to go swim in the resort. Well, then I guess go borrow somebody else's charger. There are like 20 people here. At least one person has a charger. My mom then asked to borrow a charger from one of my friends, and he gave it to the entitled parent. She then stomped away feeling stupid. While we were then there at the resort, she just glared at me weirdly. Fortunately, they left pretty early though. I just love when the person's like, give my kid this thing, and you're like, well, you have one. Why don't you give your kid that? Well, because I don't trust my kid with it. So, like, if you don't trust your kid to be having your phone because it's for work and he's going to mess something up, or, like, you know, you're going to miss out on a call or something, then why would you assume that nobody else has the exact same problem that you do? It's your kid. You're the one that decided to have the demon and give him an iPad, bro. You're the reason he's got the screen addiction. It's not my phone's obligation to fill that in. Seriously, though, dude, what's going to happen in, like, 10 years when the iPad generation of kids has to be, like, in iPad rehab because they're just so addicted to screens? My mother-in-law says she's completely dependent on us and we don't know how to approach it. I'm 33 and my partner's 32, and we recently decided that we don't want to have kids. It was a long road between let's have kids because that's the next natural step in our life, passing through several infertility issues, surgeries, medical complications, and then arriving to why are we doing this? It took quite some time to realize that we were both very ambitious in our careers and our life goals wouldn't accommodate a kid well. It wouldn't be fair. Besides, the whole thing was making us miserable and we're much happier now, enjoying our freedom and currently looking into moving to another country. I'm Brazilian and my husband's Swedish and we're living in Sweden, in my husband's hometown while I'm studying for my PhD nearby. My mother-in-law has always had a complicated relationship with my husband. He's an only child and they never built a strong relationship as mother and son, but she thinks they do have one simply because she's his mother. They clearly don't feel the same about each other, but they've succeeded in avoiding issues for many, many years by keeping it superficial. My husband knows that, but she won't admit it, and she thinks she's super involved in our lives and a present parent. Lately, things have begun to get difficult for her. Her second husband has been suffering with several complications after his cancer treatment and has been in and out of the hospital nonstop since June. With his health deteriorating, we became concerned about her living situation. They live in an old house with steep stairs up on a hill in the outskirts of the city and depend on a car for everything, have a large garden that needs care, and the house is in desperate need of maintenance. My mother-in-law has epilepsy and sometimes has limitations for driving due to her meds, and her husband is a selfish, accommodated butthole who refuses to learn how to drive because his mother-in-law is the chauffeur. They cannot take care of that house without our help. She is relatively young but has joint problems and can't handle the garden or the house maintenance by herself anymore. Now, she also has to adapt to her husband's new limitations, and he wasn't much help before, but he's allergic to pollen and can't work in the garden. So we started talking to them about moving out from there. You know, it's not sustainable that we have to do the job. We both drive, but we don't want to add the expense of a car, and we would need one to be able to do things for them often, and otherwise we don't use cars ever. Well, she flipped out. She said that she doesn't want to move. She wants to stay there as long as she can climb the stairs, and we have to support her. And by supporting her, she means progressively assuming the jobs that she can't do. Slowly, my husband managed to explain that this is not kind of the support that he can offer her, since he has his own responsibilities with our homes, NGOs we run in our spare time, dogs, and we can't refuse good opportunities to take care for a fully capable adult because they're maintaining a lifestyle with not compatible with as much as they can handle. We support in many other ways. Maybe we can find a gardener that can do the heavy work twice a year, or arrange a contractor to fix the garage and so on, and of course we would help out, but helping is not the same as being responsible for things, and she said that she thought he'd always do stuff for her and was a bit upset but dropped it. Anyways, these conversations calmed down for a while until Sunday when we were out for lunch because she was alone as her husband was in the hospital for surgery. She was tense and we were talking about how important it is to have a friendly support network in difficult times, and I'm thankful for my own friends that were there when my dad passed. That was when she dropped this. I agree we're not completely independent. For example, I'm completely dependent on you two. My husband and I looked at each other a bit panicky, and I didn't know how to respond at the moment. All I wanted to say was, I sure hope you're not being serious. Being completely dependent on someone is horrible for you and a very heavy responsibility to drop on the other part. But I didn't. I just said I think human beings are never completely independent from each other, but we need to be able to take care of ourselves. We left it at that, but now I'm concerned about how she's going to react when we actually move. We're not going to change our plans because of her. My husband thinks that the distance will probably be good for her to realize she can't depend on anyone, and now he wants to move as far away as possible. My own mother is the complete opposite. She misses me but deals very well with me being far away, and we have a good relationship, and she's super supportive of me chasing all my dreams. Since I was a kid, she has always said that she doesn't want us to give up things because of her, and she's prepared to adapt her routine and into her limitations as she ages. But I think my mother-in-law is going to turn our lives into a nightmare. I want to have this conversation with her, but don't know if I should. I chose not to have children, so I don't have to settle down in a life I don't want for the sake of a kid, but I don't think I have to accept that and do everything for a fully capable adult because she thinks it's our obligation to assume responsibilities that she can't handle. I mean, listen, obviously I feel really bad for the woman. It sounds like she's going through a lot, but it is a little bit weird to be like, no, you're never allowed to move and I'm completely dependent on you. That is an insane amount of pressure to just drop on somebody. Oh yeah, you know me, you can't leave because I need you 100% of the time always. I do feel bad for her. I almost wonder if maybe things will like be a little less weird in a bit, if there's a little less stress. That being said, I don't think you should be changing your plans for anybody, especially if she's just choosing to live in that house to be stubborn, you know, like, no, I don't want to leave it. Sure, I can't take care of it, but that's your problem, not mine. It's like, no, it actually is your problem, Mom. When I was a kid, my parents joined a group with parents of my friends and classmates, and one member of the group was a very entitled mother. Here's some things that she would do. We were in a restaurant where a big pot was placed in the center for everyone to serve themselves. She spent 10 minutes choosing and discarding each element of the dish while everyone waited. She also chose the best pieces of meat and removed all the vegetables from the plate, putting them back one by one in the pot, and then brought the plate to her child. When she saw everyone staring at her, she said, well, my child doesn't eat vegetables or the cheaper meat. The child in question was 12 years old. Another time, she wrote a note to the school saying that her dear daughter was allergic to the food item because she didn't like it. And the school had said that wasn't an excuse and she had to eat lunch like everyone else because she wasn't allergic. Everyone knew she wasn't allergic, but it was a way to force the school to accommodate. Well, here comes the day I ended up going over to the house. I was 14 years old and we were there after school. We went upstairs and the bed was unmade. The daughter sees it and tells me to wait a moment, goes down the hall and yells, "Mom, the bed is not made," and kept yelling until the mom stopped what she was doing, came upstairs, and then we both standed there while she made the bed. And when she was done, she says, "That's better, you can leave us," and then sat on the bed. Until that day, I thought she had the coolest parents who always took the side, and I asked my parents to, you know, say that I was allergic to things at school too. They told me they could write a note asking the school to double serve it instead. That day, I saw how an entitled parent can ruin the kids too. Well, they say the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, you know? Chances are if she's running around bossing people around, she learned that somewhere, probably from like screaming at her mom to make the bed, bro. I just don't understand people who can use their mom as a maid. Mom, get in here, please, clean this up. Dust over my desk. There's too many crumbs here. My keyboard is a mess. Like, seriously, man, I just don't know how you could boss your mom around like that. Alright guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, I'd really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought, and of course subscribe if you're new and turn on those notifications. I would very much appreciate it. If you really want to be awesome, then you can also check out the intro song linked down below, along with the link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, or you could use code Scrubby for 30% off G Fuel until the 21st of this month, so be sure to go do that. And yeah, last but not least, there's a link in the description. It's a link to the merch store. Be sure to go get yourself the coolest merch to ever exist. I would very, very much appreciate it. Thank you so much. And yeah, on that note, guys, I think that'll do it for the video. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.